At the family gathering, they announced I was adopted to claim the $15 million mansion. I smiled and revealed the DNA test results. The silence that followed was deafening. But I wasn't done. Not even close. I should have seen it coming. The whispered conversations that stopped when I entered the room. The sudden family meetings I wasn't invited to. The way my sister Sarah started calling our parents my mom and dad instead of our parents in conversations. But I was too busy keeping the family business afloat to notice they were plotting against me. It happened during our annual spring gathering, a tradition Dad had started years ago. The mansion's grand living room was packed with relatives, all dressed in their Sunday best, pretending they weren't vultures circling a carcass. The crystal chandelier cast shadows across their faces as they sipped expensive wine I'd bought with my own money. "Everyone, we have an announcement," my mother said, her voice carrying that fake sweetness she used when she was about to destroy someone. Sarah sat beside her, practically vibrating with excitement, while Dad studied his glass of scotch like it held the secrets of the universe. I was by the fireplace, going through quarterly reports on my tablet. The family business didn't run itself, after all. I'd spent the last 5 years turning it from a failing enterprise into a profitable empire. Not that anyone acknowledged that. "It's about Thomas," Mom continued, her eyes not quite meeting mine. "We've recently discovered something significant." The room fell silent. Even the ice in people's glasses seemed to stop clinking. After extensive research and going through old documents, we found that Thomas was adopted. The words hung in the air like poison gas. I looked up from my tablet, my expression neutral. Sarah couldn't contain her smirk anymore. "The paperwork clearly shows," she jumped in, pulling out a folder with flourish, "that Thomas has no biological claim to the family name or assets." Aunt Margaret gasped dramatically. Uncle Peter muttered something that sounded like, "I always knew." Cousin James actually started typing on his phone, probably already spreading the news. Therefore, Mom's voice grew stronger, more confident. "According to family tradition and legal precedent, the estate, including this mansion and all associated properties, will pass solely to Sarah, our only biological child." I set my tablet down carefully and stood up. The firelight cast my shadow long across the expensive Persian rug, another purchase I'd made to maintain the family's image of wealth. "Interesting timing," I said, my voice calm. "Just when the business is finally profitable again. Just when the estate's value has tripled under my management." "Now, Thomas," Dad finally spoke, still not looking at me, "this isn't personal. It's about preserving the family legacy." "Family legacy?" I couldn't help but laugh. "You mean the legacy I saved. The company I rebuilt while Sarah was busy posting Instagram stories from her third failed startup." Sarah's face flushed red. "You're just jealous because I'm their real child. You've always been an outsider. Now we have proof." I reached into my jacket pocket, pulling out my own folder. "Funny you should mention proof." The room grew still again, but this time with a different kind of tension. Sarah's smirk faltered slightly. "See, unlike you, I actually did my research years ago. Not because I doubted my place here, but because I wanted to understand our family's medical history. Responsible business owners think about these things." I opened the folder, pulling out several papers. "These are DNA test results, not just mine, but comparative analyses with both Mom and Dad. Would you like to know what they show?" Mom's face went pale. Dad suddenly found his scotch very interesting again. "Not only am I their biological child, but I also discovered something else. Something about Sarah's parentage that I'm sure she'd rather not have discussed in front of everyone." Sarah shot up from her seat. "You're lying. Those papers are fake." I smiled, sliding the results across the coffee table. "Feel free to verify them. The lab is very reputable. They do excellent work, especially when it comes to determining paternity, or lack thereof." The room erupted in whispers. Sarah snatched the papers, her hands shaking as she read. Mom sat down heavily, her perfect composure cracking. "You see," I continued, my voice carrying easily over the murmurs, "I've known for years that Sarah isn't Dad's biological daughter. Mom's little secret from her business trip to Aspen in 1990. I just never saw a reason to mention it. Unlike some people, I don't believe in using family secrets as weapons." Dad's glass slipped from his hand, shattering on the hardwood floor. The sound was like a gunshot in the tension-filled room. "But since we're all being honest about parentage today, I thought it was only fair to share. After all, if we're going to talk about biological claims to the family name. Sarah was hyperventilating now, tears streaming down her face. Mom, tell them he's lying. Tell them. But Mom couldn't speak. Her carefully constructed world was crumbling around her, and for once she had no clever words to fix it. I walked to the wet bar and poured myself a glass of water, not wine. I needed a clear head for what was coming next. Of course, this revelation makes all those documents you just presented rather interesting from a legal standpoint. What do you mean? Uncle Peter asked, suddenly very interested now that money was involved. Well, I took a slow sip of water, attempting to fraudulently transfer assets based on false claims of adoption. That's not just family drama anymore. That's criminal fraud. The room temperature seemed to drop 10 degrees. Sarah collapsed back into her seat, the fake adoption papers falling from her limp fingers. But that's not even the best part, I continued, pulling out my phone. Would anyone like to know who's been actually paying the property taxes on this mansion for the last 5 years? Who holds the current deed? Who's been covering the maintenance costs while everyone else enjoyed living here rent-free? I pulled up the property records on my phone's screen, turning it so everyone could see. There was my name clear as day as the legal owner of 1242 Oakwood Drive, our family estate. I bought it when the bank was about to foreclose. Remember that, Dad? When your gambling debts almost cost us everything. Everyone thought that mysterious investor who saved the property was some foreign business group. Surprise. Dad finally looked at me, his face ashen. You everything I finished for him. The house, the grounds, even that guest house Sarah's been subletting on air without permission. Speaking of which, I tapped my phone a few times. I've just initiated eviction proceedings for all unauthorized tenants. You have 30 days to find new accommodations. The chaos that erupted was almost beautiful. Sarah screamed that I couldn't do this. Mom tried to calm everyone down while looking like she might faint. Dad just sat there, defeated, probably realizing that his plan had just cost him everything. Aunt Margaret was already calling her lawyer. Uncle Peter was pretending he'd never supported the adoption story. Cousin James had stopped typing on his phone, probably realizing he was about to be homeless. But I wasn't done. Not even close. One more thing, I raised my voice slightly, and the room fell silent again. Those credit cards everyone's been using, the ones linked to the family business account, check your phones. You'll find they've all been canceled, effective immediately. The synchronized chime of notification messages was almost musical. The collective gasp as everyone realized their financial lifelines had just been cut was even better. You see, while you were all plotting to push me out, I was actually running the business, making it profitable, protecting our assets, and yes, documenting every penny each of you spent without authorization. I picked up my tablet again, pulling up a spreadsheet I'd been preparing for months. Sarah, those business lunches you've been charging, the ones at spa resorts, all documented. Mom, those office supplies you've been buying at Tiffany's, logged. Dad, your client meetings at the casino, every single one recorded. They stared at me, finally understanding just how thoroughly I'd outmaneuvered them. You can't just cut us off. Sarah tried to sound confident, but her voice shook. We're family. Family? I looked at her, really looked at her. Family doesn't try to erase someone's existence with fake adoption papers. Family doesn't plot to steal what others have worked for. Family doesn't. I pause, letting the weight of everything sink in. Family doesn't treat family like this. I gathered my things, straightening my jacket. You all have 30 days to vacate the premises. Any personal belongings left behind will be considered abandoned property. The business accounts are being audited, and any unauthorized expenses will need to be repaid. My lawyers will be in touch with each of you regarding repayment plans. As I walked toward the door, Mom finally found her voice. Thomas, please, where are we supposed to go? I turned back one last time, looking at the people who tried to destroy me. That's not my problem anymore. You wanted me out of the family? Congratulations. You got your wish. The door closed behind me with a satisfying click, leaving them in the chaos they created. As I walked to my car, I could hear the shouting starting, the blaming beginning, but it didn't matter anymore. I drove away from the mansion, watching it shrink in my rearview mirror. 10 years of managing their messes, covering their debts, protecting their secrets, all while they plotted to take everything from me. But now they would learn what it truly meant to lose everything. The night was still young, and I had a lot more work to do. This was just the beginning of their education and consequences. The aftermath of the family gathering was like watching dominoes fall in slow motion. Each day brought a new crisis, a new desperate attempt to regain control, and a new lesson in consequences. Sarah was the first to crack. 3 days after the gathering, she showed up at my office, makeup perfect, wearing her most expensive suit, probably charged to one of the now canceled credit cards. "We need to talk," she announced, breezing past my secretary as if she still had the right. I did look up from my computer. "Security is already on their way." "Oh, stop being dramatic," she huffed, dropping into the chair across from my desk. "I know you're angry, but this little power play has gone far enough." Finally, I met her eyes. Power play? Like fabricating adoption papers to steal my inheritance. She had the decency to flush. That was Mom's idea. I just went along with it. Just helped forge documents. Just planned to rob your brother of everything he's worked for. "You don't understand," she leaned forward, her voice dropping to a conspiratorial whisper. "Mom and Dad are desperate. The gambling debts, the shopping addiction, the failed investments, they're worse than you know." "I know exactly how bad it is," I replied, pulling up a file on my computer. "Your secret Cayman account isn't so secret, Sarah. Neither are Mom's hidden credit cards or Dad's underground poker games." Her face went pale. "How did you? I've been watching all of you for years. Every transaction, every scheme, every lie. Did you really think I wouldn't protect myself?" Security arrived then, 2 large men in dark suits. Sarah's eyes widened as they moved to flank her chair. "This is your last chance," she blurted. "Work with us, or what?" I smiled, but there was no warmth in it. "You'll tell everyone I'm adopted. Try to steal my company. Oh, wait. Miss Carter," one of the security guards said firmly. "Please come with us." As they escorted her out, she turned back one last time. "You'll regret this. Family is all we have." "No, Sarah. Family is all you had, and you just lost it." After she left, I made some calls. By evening, Sarah's secret investment accounts were frozen. Her lease was terminated. I owned that building too. And her car was repossessed. Guess who had been making the payments? Mom tried next, but her approach was different. She sent a series of tearful voicemails, each more dramatic than the last. "Your father is sick with worry," one message claimed. "Is this how you want things to end? With your dad in the hospital?" I had my private investigator confirm that Dad was actually at his favorite casino, losing more money he didn't have. Then came the flying monkeys, distant relatives and family friends, all calling to tell me how cruel I was being. "They're your parents," Aunt Margaret scolded. "You can't just throw them out." "Watch me," I replied before blocking her number. Uncle Peter tried to play mediator, offering to negotiate a settlement. Turns out he just wanted to secure his own position, hoping to save his investment in the family business. "I was always on your side," he claimed, conveniently forgetting how he'd nodded along with the adoption story. "Your shares in the company have been liquidated," I informed him. "Check your email for the transfer details." The most entertaining attempt came from Cousin James. He tried to threaten me with exposure on social media, claiming he'd reveal all our family's dirty secrets. "Go ahead," I told him. "Start with explaining why you've been using company funds to pay your gambling debts. I have all the receipts." He blocked me before I could finish speaking. Dad was the only one who stayed quiet, but I knew better than to think he'd given up. He was probably still trying to figure out how I'd outmaneuvered them all. The truth was simple. While they'd been playing checkers, I'd been playing chess. Every move calculated, every defense prepared, years before they even thought to attack. 2 weeks after the gathering, I received a thick envelope from Mom. Inside was a handwritten letter, 20 pages of carefully crafted manipulation. She wrote about my childhood, about family traditions, about the importance of forgiveness. She reminded me of holidays and birthdays, of family vacations and Sunday dinners. "We made mistakes," she admitted in flowing script, "but we love you. We're still your family." At the bottom was a proposal. If I would transfer the mansion back to them and restore their access to the company accounts, they would forgive me for my emotional reaction to their misunderstanding. I fed the letter into my shredder, page by page. Then I sent them all an email. Final notice. All unauthorized occupants must vacate the property at 1242 Oakwood Drive within 14 days. Any remaining personal belongings will be considered abandoned and disposed of accordingly. There will be no extensions or negotiations. P.S. I've forwarded documentation of the attempted fraud, fake adoption papers, to the relevant authorities. Expect contact from them soon. The responses were immediate and hysterical. Sarah threatened to sue. Mom claimed she was having chest pains. Dad finally broke his silence with a one-word text. Please. But I was done with their drama, with their manipulation, with being the family ATM they could use and discard at will. I had my security team change all the locks and install cameras. I hired a moving company to pack and store any belongings left behind. I might be ruthless, but I wasn't cruel enough to throw their possessions in the street. As the deadline approached, I watched through the security cameras as reality finally set in. Cars were loaded, furniture was moved, and one by one, they began to leave. Sarah went first, her designer wardrobe packed into a rental truck, her face streaked with tears and fury. Mom and Dad left last. On the final day, they stood in the driveway for a long time, staring up at the house they tried to steal from me. I watched on my phone as they finally drove away, leaving behind the keys and a note I didn't bother to read. The mansion was empty now, quiet in a way it had never been before. But as I walked through the vacant rooms, I felt no sadness, no regret. They had tried to erase me, to write me out of my own life story. Instead, they had written themselves out of my future, and I was perfectly fine with that. 3 months after the Great Exodus, I sat in my office reviewing the aftermath of my family's destruction. The audit reports made for fascinating reading. Years of financial abuse laid bare in neat columns and precise numbers. Sarah had managed to embezzle nearly $2.3 million through fake consulting contracts. Mom's unauthorized personal expenses topped $800,000. Dad's gambling losses, carefully hidden through a maze of shell companies, exceeded $5 million. But the real surprise came from an unexpected source. My phone buzzed with a call from an unlisted number. "Is this Thomas Carter?" A woman's voice, professional but warm. "Speaking. This is Diana Matthews from Riverside Nursing Home. I'm calling about your grandmother, Eleanor Carter." I froze. There must be some mistake. My grandmother passed away 5 years ago. The silence on the other end was heavy. "Sir, your grandmother is very much alive. She's been a resident here since 2018. The world tilted sideways. I gripped my desk, memories flooding back. Grandma Eleanor, who had taught me about business, who believed in me when no one else did. They told me she died in her sleep, a peaceful passing. "She's been asking for you," Diana continued. "She says she's been trying to contact you for years." My hands shook as I wrote down the address. Another lie, another betrayal, but this one cut deeper than all the others. 2 hours later, I stood outside room 315 at Riverside Nursing Home. Through the window, I saw an elegant elderly woman sitting in a chair, reading a book. Her hair was silver now, but her posture was exactly as I remembered. She looked up as I entered, and her eyes, my eyes, filled with tears. "Thomas," she whispered, "I knew you'd find me eventually." I crossed the room in 3 strides and fell to my knees beside her chair. She cupped my face in her soft hands, studying me. "They told me you didn't want to see me," she said, "that you were too busy, too important now. I knew it wasn't true. Not my Thomas. They told me you were dead." My voice cracked. "They had a funeral." Her face hardened. "Of course they did. They needed my power of attorney, you see. Needed control of my shares in the company. Couldn't have that with me still making decisions." The pieces fell into place. The sudden change in company policy 5 years ago. The mysterious transfer of shares. The way they discouraged me from asking questions about Grandma's death. "Why?" I asked, though I already knew the answer. "Because I was going to leave everything to you," she said with a sad smile. "I saw what they called it, your potential, your integrity. They couldn't stand the thought of you having that much power." She reached for a folder on her bedside table. "I've been keeping records, you know. Dates, transactions, visitors. The nurses helped me document everything. I knew someday you need proof." I opened the folder with trembling hands. Inside were detailed notes, correspondence, even photos, evidence of their elaborate deception. "They underestimated you, didn't they?" She looked proud. "Just like they underestimated me." I told her everything: the fake adoption papers, the attempted theft, the eviction. She listened, nodding occasionally, her eyes gleaming with something between satisfaction and sorrow. "So you own the mansion now?" she asked when I finished. "Yes." "Good." She squeezed my hand. "It was always meant to be yours. Now, help me pack." I blinked. Pack? Well, I'm certainly not staying in this place now that my grandson owns a $15 million mansion with plenty of room for his grandmother. For the first time in months, I laughed, really laughed. "Are you sure? It's quite empty now." "Perfect," she declared. "We can refill it with people who actually deserve to be there." The nursing home staff helped us gather her belongings. There wasn't much: some clothes, books, photo albums they hadn't managed to steal. Deanna, the nurse who'd called me, provided copies of all medical records and documentation of the family's deception. "We knew something wasn't right," Diana confided as we wheeled Grandma to my car. "The way they rushed her in here, the strict instructions about contact. We've been hoping someone would investigate." As we drove home, Grandma Eleanor regaled me with stories of her time in the nursing home. How she carefully gathered evidence while playing the role of the compliant elderly patient. "Your mother never could tell when she was being outsmarted," she chuckled, too busy admiring her own cleverness. At the mansion, I helped her settle into the best guest suite, the one with the garden view she'd always loved. As she unpacked, she paused over a photo of the family from happier times. "You know they'll try again," she said softly. "People like them don't learn. They just get more desperate." I nodded. "I know. But this time, we're ready for them." She smiled, and I saw the steel beneath her gentle exterior, the same steel I'd inherited. "Yes," she agreed. "This time, we'll face them together." That night, as we sat in a library sharing tea and plans, my phone buzzed with a text from Sarah. "Mom's in the hospital. Real this time. She's asking for you." I showed the message to Grandma. She raised an eyebrow. "Shall we show them what a real family reunion looks like?" I smiled, already imagining their faces when they saw who I found. "Tomorrow," I decided. "Let them sweat a little longer." Grandma Eleanor nodded approvingly. "You really did learn well, didn't you?" "I had a good teacher," I replied, raising my teacup in salute. Tomorrow would bring new battles, new attempts at manipulation, new lies to unravel. But tonight, sitting with the one person who'd always believed in me, I felt truly at peace in this house for the first time. The prodigal family would soon learn that their greatest mistake wasn't trying to steal my inheritance. It was underestimating both me and the grandmother they tried to hide away.